What's up guys, my name's Liam, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the brand new WL Mouse Ying 75. This is the bigger form factor and the follow-up to the Ying 63 that I've already reviewed on my channel. This is still using the carbon composite case. It does look incredible, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down how my experience has been with it so far, how it stacks up versus the competition, and hopefully in this video I'll be able to help you decide whether or not this could possibly be the perfect gaming keyboard for you. So let's check it out. And before we get started today, I did want to let you know this was sent out to me. However, everything you're going to be hearing in this video is going to be my own words and my own opinions. Included inside the box, it does come with a carrying case, keycap, and switch puller. Comes with a cleaning brush as well, and then a USB-C to USB Type-A cable. They try and make this as compact and small as possible, but aside from that, pretty straightforward stuff coming over here. On the top, USB-C connectivity on the left-hand side. Over on the back, you can see the beautiful carbon composite in all of its glory. It does have this plaque right here in the middle, and then you do have these longer rubberized feet up in each one of the corners. The work that was done on this carbon composite case feels very nice. There's nothing that's scratchy or sticks out. All the corners are smooth. This does feel also very smooth to the touch on your skin, and everything about it just truly looks fantastic. The one thing about this keyboard though is it actually does feel pretty light for a 75% layout. Dropping on my scale, looks like we got it coming in at about 1,084, 85-ish grams. When picking this up, you have two separate options as far as the keycaps go. There are these white keycaps with this art on top, and then you also do have these transparent keycaps. And these really do look nice and they feel good. This does have the issue, however, with transparent keycaps where the lettering is etched on the top. And when you do have the lighting on the keyboard, you cannot see this lettering at all as you're actually using it. You also do have the option on what type of switches to choose when picking this up. They do have these Nightfall Gateron switches, and then also the shadow switch that is made by TTC. I'll show you the internal design of the Gateron switches. They look pretty similar to something like the Pros or the Reds. And then here is the internal design on the TTC switches. These are both rated at around 36 GF for the actuation. My keyboard did come with the TTC switches in it. They also did include just a couple of Gateron switches to try them out. As I was going back and forth and testing these, even though they are rated at the same weight, for whatever reason, the TTC switch, to me, it does feel like it's just a little bit lighter, and it even does feel like it's just a little bit quicker on the rebound. As I was going back and forth and testing these, however, with the stability as far as any type of stem wobble goes, there honestly isn't a whole lot of difference between them. When I do press them in, I'm holding down the PCB there to try and show you, but honestly not really a whole lot of a difference going back and forth between them. My personal preference between both of them is I would say that I would definitely go with the Gateron switches. They just feel better to type on. I do like the sound signature on them. They just give you a little bit more of a premium feeling, where these TTC switches, they have a little bit more of a clackier sound. But the mounting design is similar to what they used for the Ying 63. You do have these 4 screws in each one of the corners, and as you can see here, there is a gap up at the top that does allow for a little bit of movement when you do press on it. Now, all the screws are out here right now, so there's going to be a little bit more movement than when it's screwed in, but as you can see, there's just a little bit of movement there, but I would say that overall you do get a little bit more of a stiffer feeling as you're using this and typing on it. They also did include these 2 rubberized gaskets right here below the space bar for some additional sound dampening, and the stabilizers on here, they do feel really good, and you can see a light amount of lube there on them. But when I was looking at the internal design for both these switches, they do come pre-lubed. Now, if you wanted to open this up, you don't have to remove all the screws here on the case. These screws on the outside and in the middle, they actually just have the switch plate attached to the PCB. I believe it was these 4 screws right here that you'd have to remove if you just wanted to remove this. I do apologize, I'm trying to get that in focus there for you. So right underneath the switch plate itself, they do have a piece of foam down here. This feels like some type of a pour-on foam, and then right below that, you do have the PCB itself. And then here's another close-up of the PCB over here on the rear. But then right underneath the PCB itself, you do have an additional piece of foam right here, and then right underneath the foam you also do have this silicone gasket, But that is all is left, and then you just have this forged carbon case down here at the bottom. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and I'll drop a sound test. I'm just gonna do a regular sound test with the TTC switches I did get installed inside of this. Then after that, I'll do just 4 of the TTC switches and try and compare them to the Gaterons, since I only did get 4 of those Gateron switches. Here's a look of the web-based driver to make settings to your keyboard. Once you open this up and get inside of here, it has been defaulting to Chinese for me. Just come down here in the bottom left-hand side and select the English tab. First up, you have lighting, so pretty self-explanatory. You have these different custom options that you can do in here. They do give you different profiles that you can set up, different types of color options and things like that. Next up, the most important tab, which is for the performance. Right here for the normal option is where you can control the global actuation. If you want to access the rapid trigger settings, you'll need to come over here to this tab. I'll just come up here and select a single key really quick to give you an example of how this works. You can come over here to select all keys, WASD, or come in here and individually select keys to make adjustments. The actuation distance does go as low as 0.005 millimeters. You can make adjustments in the 0.005 millimeter increments all the way up to the 3.4 millimeter with these TTC switches in here that are currently installed. Then next up, you do have the press and the release, where same thing, the 0.005 millimeter. So the sensitivity on this board is actually really insane. Next up over here on the advanced tab, it does say here, this is the dead zone. It does recommend a setting of 0.2 millimeters. When I do turn this off, I do get accidental key presses not touching the keyboard. So I've been testing this out using this. I do recommend setting up the dead zones to the 0.2. Everything has been working out fine for me. Then over here, you can adjust the polling rate if you wish to change it to anything other than 8,000 hertz. Next up is where you can change your switches. Here's the options that it does give you. As you can see, I already have this set to the TTC shadow switches, and they actually did add a calibration in here, which is one of the recommendations that I did have for them when I reviewed the Ying 63. So I always recommend when you do get your keyboard out of the box, you do calibrate all of the switches, and then every time you do a firmware update or anything like that, I also recommend doing this as well. And then you do have a travel test option over here as well. Next up is where you can do things like remap the keys if you wish to change any of the keys on your keyboard. And then also they do have a function over here for the advanced keys. Once you do come over here and select a key is where it gives you the options. If you want to set up the DKS, SOCD, all these different options right here. I will go ahead and I will show you really quick and demonstrate how I set up the SOCD on this. So I'll just come up here and drag the A and the D key, and I always do have the last Windows press on here, and these are the options that I currently have been using. As you can see here, you can come in here and these are the types of adjustments that you can make. After you do that, hit save. It's all set up and ready to go. Then next up, they have a macro tab, and then finally over here is where you can update the firmware on your keyboard, which I always recommend doing as soon as it becomes available. For the performance, I did test this out on my solenoid rig with my high-speed camera. I always like to put out a disclaimer for these results, as there's a bunch of different varying factors that can ultimately impact the results of this test, so please do keep that in mind going forward. Testing both the press and the release 10 times on this keyboard and the Wooting, this did slightly come out ahead on the press, winning 7 out of the 10 times, where the Wooting actually did pull ahead just a little bit on the release, coming out ahead 6 out of the 10 times. Alright guys, so that about wraps things up on the WMouse Ying 75, and I must say that for what you're getting here, the look of this is fantastic. You get a very premium feeling, and I just love the look of this carbon composite, and the feeling of it's a little bit on the lighter end. I do just a little bit kind of prefer a little bit more of heavier keyboards, but I would say all around, if you're looking for something that's just a smaller and tighter form factor, trying to save as much room as possible. If you don't like to game with bigger types of keyboards, but you're looking for more keys to do other things than just gaming, like your work productivity or something like that, this absolutely, without question, is a solid option for you. The performance on it has been feeling fantastic in game. Between the TTC switches and the Gateron switches, I do slightly prefer just the feeling, the sound of the Gateron switches myself. And really the only other thing that I have to critique about this keyboard is, like I mentioned with the keycaps, once you do have the backlighting on, it does make it pretty much hard or almost impossible to see the actual lettering here on the keycaps. But aside from that, all around really solid option here from WMouse. So if you do have any additional questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know in the comments down below. If you have enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.